to P&B TV. You are watching news analysis live on Politics and Business Television. The top stories. Reps plead against anti-government protests, accept 50% salary cuts. National Population Commission awaiting President's note for census, says Commissioner. Crude supply, federal government continues fuel importation as reps probe international oil companies. Details coming up shortly. Members of the House of Representatives on Thursday agreed to donate 50% of their salaries for a period of 6 months to assist the federal government in addressing the economic situation in the country. The resolution of the House was a sequel to a motion of urgent importance for an appeal to the proponents of the proposed nationwide protests to maintain peace, eschew violence, and open windows for meaningful engagement with the government at all levels in order to address their issues. The motion was sponsored by the member representing Ifo Ewekoro Federal Constituency, Ogun State, Ibrahim Isiaka, during Thursday's plenary. There have been reports of an impending nationwide mass protest by youth to express displeasure about the hardship in the country, reflected in the high cost of living, food scarcity, unemployment, and so on. A viral flyer on social media announced a nationwide protest scheduled for August 1st over the hardship in the country, while admitting that Nigerians had the constitutional right to demand better living conditions. The Ogun lawmakers urged the youth to give the government a chance to fix the challenges facing the nation. And now the National Population Commission says it is set to conduct population and housing census once President Bola Tinubu gives his approval. The NPC Federal Commissioner in Lagos State, Mrs. Saidat Oladunjoye, stated this on Thursday at an event commemorating this year's Population Day. The federal government under ex-President Muhammadu Buhari had earlier fixed the population census for May 3rd to May 7th, 2023, budgeting 200 billion naira. The exercise was, however, cancelled, with Buhari saying his successor, Bola Tinubu, would conduct the exercise. The annual event, designated by United Nations General Assembly, aims to draw attention to the profound impacts of population dynamics on development, the environment, and poverty eradication. Oladunjoye highlighted that the theme of the 2024 World Population Day reflected the evaluation and progress made over the past 3 decades in implementing the International Conference on Population and Development Program of Action, the Addis Ababa Declaration on Population and Development, and nearly 2 decades of sustainable development goals. Also, the importation of refined petroleum products into Nigeria is going to continue alongside the production of the commodities by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery to prevent monopoly and ensure energy security. The federal government has declared it warned against being over-dependent on the $200 billion refinery located in the Lekki Free Zone in Lagos, stressing that the demand by the refinery that all oil marketers should buy products from the plant does not support competition. This came as the House of Representatives constituted an ad hoc committee to probe allegations of non-supply of crude oil to the Dangote refinery, as oil marketers condemned the international oil companies operating in Nigeria for not supplying crude oil to indigenous refiners. Also commenting on the issue, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission insisted that it was doing a lot to ensure the supply of crude oil to Dangote refinery and other modular refinery operators as it vowed to resolve the lingering crisis. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority, an agency of the federal government, said the government would not stop the importation of petroleum products, saying Nigeria cannot depend on one refinery to feed the nation. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business. Still to come, Central Bank of Nigeria resumes Bureau de change dollar sale as Naira weakens to 1,570 Naira per dollar. This and more after the break. Welcome back. The Central Bank of Nigeria resumed the sale of foreign exchange to eligible Bureau de change operators on Thursday as the Naira fell to 1,570 Naira per dollar at the parallel markets. The CBN sold the dollar to BDCs at a rate of 1,450 Naira per dollar. This was disclosed in a statement signed by A.A. Maji for the acting director of the Trade and Exchange Department at the CBN. The Apex Bank said following the ongoing reforms in the foreign exchange market with the objective of achieving an appropriate market-determined exchange rate for the Naira, the Central Bank of Nigeria has observed the continued distortions in the retail end of the market. It warned the BDCs to sell to eligible end users at a margin not more than 1.5% above the purchase rate of CBN. The dollar, which traded as low as 1,640 Naira per dollar, settled at 1,570 Naira per dollar at the parallel market, having closed Wednesday's trading at 1,565 Naira per dollar. Findings from BDC operators showed that the Naira was trading between 1,620 Naira per dollar and 1,630 Naira per dollar on the black market. According to London Stock Exchange Group data, the Naira fell to a 4-month low of 1,612.50 per dollar on the official market on Wednesday. Still, you are watching news analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Joining us after the break is Comrade Bashir Dauda Katsina, the National Secretary Voice of the Masses, who will be analyzing today's trending topic, the new minimum wage. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now let's head on to the day's business, the new minimum wage. It is no longer a rumor that the National Assembly will on Tuesday get an executive bill on the new national minimum wage following an agreement between President Bola Tinubu and labor leaders on higher remuneration for workers. On Thursday, the President and the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, led by their presidents, Joe Ajero and Festus Osifo respectively, agreed on 70,000 Naira as the new national minimum wage during their meeting at the Aso Presidential Villa, Abuja. The wage will replace the 30,000 Naira minimum wage that expired on April 18, 2024. To give legal teeth to the agreement ahead of its implementation, the Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, confirmed that lawmakers would get the executive bill on the new minimum wage by Tuesday. Briefing State House's correspondents after the president's session with the union leaders on Thursday, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, described the conclusion of the meeting as a happy day for Nigeria. Beside the minimum wage agreement, it disclosed that the government had also agreed to pay the withheld salaries of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities. The government further pledged massive investment in infrastructure and renewable energy, including the acquisition of more CNG buses to enhance the nation's transition to cleaner energy, as well as expressing commitment to ensuring local government autonomy. Also speaking, the Minister of State for Labour and Employment Nkiruka Onyedosha said Tinubu adopted a fatherly approach, emphasizing the need for a review of the minimum wage policy every 3 years rather than the current 5-year cycle. She further hinted that the President also directed the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, and the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, to review the issue of SANU and NASU payment with a waiver to pay the outstanding amounts. On Thursday, the two unions staged demonstrations in Abuja demanding the immediate release of their salaries. However, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command reportedly stopped their peaceful protests. The minister said the president reassured Nigerians of his commitment to the country's economic recovery and the welfare of the citizens. President of the NLC, Ajero, said organized labor agreed to the new national minimum wage of 70,000 naira because of the president's willingness to review the wage every 3 years, rather than the usual 5-year cycle. After the break, we'll be joined by a phone call by our guest for today, who will be analyzing the topic, the new national minimum wage. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now we are joined by our today's guest, Malam Bashir Dauda Katsina, the National Secretary Voice of the Masses, and he will be analyzing our today's topic, the new national minimum wage. Good afternoon, Malam Bashir Dauda Katsina.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone outside.
Thank you. So my first question for you today is that, considering the hike in the cost of living in Nigeria, can we say 70,000 naira is a reasonable offer for a Nigerian worker?
Yeah, before the federal government and the organized labor reach this landmark agreement, the minimum wage for workers in Nigeria is 30,000 naira. So now it has been increased to 70,000 naira. Therefore, you will agree with me that it is a step forward, and it will help the workers in terms of ameliorating their hardship and increasing their income. So, when you're talking about salaries and wages, you must consider also the issue of the economy of the whole nation, looking at the GDP as well as the productive capacity of the nation. So you don't just increase salary and wages anyhow. You have to consider all the other factors and variables. So that's why I'm of the view that this decision has been reached based on careful consideration of all the factors that may affect the economy of the country as a whole.
So obviously we are going to be faced with a very big issue where the some state governments and private sectors might not be able to pay this 70,000 naira.
Yeah, based on the antecedent and the history, we know that the issue of implementation, like you have rightly mentioned, especially at sub-national level, I'm talking about the state and local government, and also on the other hand, the private sector. That is where the real problem lies. So now reaching agreement with the federal government is another thing, and implementing the agreement is also another issue. And that is where the job is. And I hope that the labor union have learned their lessons in respect of this problem of implementing the new minimum wage. Because anytime there is an increase in the wages and salaries of the workers, the implementation will become another problem, especially at sub-national level and the private sector. But this time around, because as learned human beings, we're supposed to learn from our experiences, we're supposed to learn from our mistakes. So I hope the labor union have their own strategy of making sure that the nationally new minimum wage, which has been agreed, will be implemented at sub-national level as well as the private sector.
So according to the president, the new minimum wage will be reviewed every 3 years. Can we expect like a downward review ahead of this?
Of course, because let me tell you one thing. What happened yesterday has further portrayed the good qualities of our president. Our president, I mean President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is not just a mere leader in name, but he's a leader, pragmatic leader in practice. Remember, there are unpatriotic Nigerians who didn't wish amicable resolution of this federal government labor dispute. Thank God, yesterday they were disappointed and they were defeated. And I commend him because he has shown some skills. He has shown some skills of negotiation. Because we all know the personality of the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. He is a man of grand standing. So I wonder how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu managed even to convince him to change his position in respect of this issue of national minimum wage. So that is why we have to believe the president that we have to believe him that after every 3 years the salary will be reviewed. And don't forget that this will not be just a mere talk, but also I'm sure it will be institutionalized because minimum wage is a national act. So definitely they will review the act to ensure that ensure its sustainability. So we have to leave our president and go with what he has said.
Okay. So at the moment, the prices of food in the market, it's very high. It is very high. So with this new minimum wage now, it is likely that um, sellers or producers are still going to increase the prices of goods in the market. How do you think we will cope with this 70,000 naira as a minimum wage? Because already a basket of tomato goes for more than 7,000 naira to even almost 20,000 naira in the market. How should we cope with this new
Yeah, that's
minimum
why
wage?
there's
Is
a
it
lot
going to change the
of
situation of the country? Is it going to reduce poverty?
sensitization to be done because many people are of the view, or I can say of the wrong notion, just by mere increasing salaries, the costs or prices of food items will be reduced or poverty will be reduced. Uh, to me, this is a wrong opinion because if you want to checkmate the issue of inflation, I'm sure you will not just limit yourself to salary increment. In fact, some people or economists are of the opinion that normally salary increment lead to inflation because normally it will trigger high demand, and we all know that whenever there is high demand, the price will go up. So what I will suggest here is we have federal institutions such as Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, with measures, and also we have Standard Organization of Nigeria, among other regulatory bodies, including the anti-corruption bodies. So I suggest that these institutions, in collaboration with institutions at the national level, should be strictened to do their work in terms of protecting the consumers from irresponsible, I can say, from merchants that are likely to take advantage of this salary increment to increase prices of essential commodities in the market. So I think by that's the only way we can checkmate, for example, arbitrary exploitation of Nigerians in the face of this salary increment. But in addition, Nigerians should understand that the only way we can improve the standard of living, increase the purchasing power of all Nigerians is we have to look at the economy as a whole, and we have to look at the various reforms being implemented, because just salary increment is part of the whole reforms. So there is need for maybe improvement or revitalization of agricultural sector or productive factors. All the productive factors should be revived so that Nigeria will become an exporter instead of an importer, because this reckless importation of everything, including toothpick, is actually undermining our economy. And that's why we have high level of unemployment. You understand? So that's why also our currency now is very weak. So I'm of the opinion that the whole thing, or the whole challenges should be addressed holistically. And Nigerians should also understand that salary increment alone, without productivity and without developing the whole economic sector, will not be sufficient.
Okay. So my last question for you is that what is the reaction of the Nigerian workers considering the huge gap between 70,000 naira and 250,000 naira they first demanded?
Yeah, my expectation is that Nigerian workers should be grateful that because we have to, as Nigerians who are after the survival of Nigeria, who want to see a brighter Nigeria. You understand? So they have to also be ready to make some sacrifices. You understand? Because Nigeria is not a developed economy. We have a lot of our challenges. So I'm sure we have to endure and persevere to continue to support the government to implement the right policies that will fix our challenges. Even though we all know that 70,000 naira is not enough, but we hope that when things are done like what I have mentioned earlier in terms of addressing some of the structural constraints against our country, things will get better. So Nigerian workers, should not spend all their hope on this salary increment because actually this will not change the fundamental things about their living condition. But at the meantime, we have maybe. So actually, the Nigerian workers should continue to persevere and be patriotic and support the leadership so that we will be able to help our country as a whole. So that is my advice to the Nigerian workers.
Thank you for joining us on the program today. And
Thank
that has
you
been
so much
Comrade Bashir Dauda Katsina, the National Secretary, Voice of the Masses. And that will be the size of the program for today. Bye for now.